All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, man. Today we have a Los Angeles Clippers and Indiana Pacers trade video idea. This is blockbuster. This would alter a lot of things in the NBA. So Domantas Sabonis has been, Domantas, Miles Turner, Karis LeVert. It seems almost as if every single Indiana Pacer that is above the age of maybe, say, 23 is up for grabs at the deadline this season, as they're just struggling, man. They can't really win. Now the Clippers have a bunch of talent on that roster. They literally have almost everything you really need to make a playoff push. The issue is injuries. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard has missed the entire season, but whether or not either of those two players return, the Clippers need to start thinking about, like, next year, the year after that. Most of their players are on the wrong side of their prime. A lot of these guys are above the age of 30 or just entering the age of 30. And I feel as if the Clippers window is closing, and it's not closing very fast, but I think it'll appear out of thin air in just a couple of seasons. Like after this year, if the Clippers don't make a big time move, I would imagine there's going to be some talks maybe about some trades. Maybe it's not regarding Paul George, maybe it's not regarding Kawhi Leonard, but you never know. I give it 2 years, this Clippers roster, I give it 2 years at the most before they kind of try and start looking in a different direction, whether that's to add on more talent, trade away a star, trade away both stars, enter a rebuild. I don't really think a rebuild is in the immediate future or near future for the Clippers, but you never know. You never know. You got two hell of a basketball players on their roster, along with a really good supporting cast. So today's trade is Domantas. Before we get into it, if you guys enjoy it, hit the like button, hit that sub button. We're like 20 subs away from 10,000, and I post NBA videos every single day. With the trade deadline 7 days away, I love making these types of videos and giving you guys my opinion and hearing from your opinion as well in the comment section. So drop some comments down below on your thoughts of this trade. It goes like this. The Clippers will be receiving Domantas Sabonis and Justin Holiday, and then the Pacers get Luke Kennard, Zubats, Keon Johnson, Brandon Boston Jr., and a 2028 first-round pick. Now, is this enough for Sabonis and Justin Holiday? I would think probably. I would imagine the Pacers, I just don't really, I know Domantas Sabonis is a hell of a basketball player. Like, he is so good at basketball. The thing is, he's in Indiana. It's a very, very small market, and he doesn't get the love that he deserves. So I don't really know what Indiana's asking price is going to be. I know there's only one first-round draft pick in here, and I would imagine the Pacers are looking for 2 for Sabonis, but that's why you have Keon Johnson, who has freaky athletic potential. Then you have Brandon Boston Jr., who he's been showing a ton of potential this season. It's relatively inconsistent. These guys are extremely young. You also got to think about playing time and opportunity and that thing. But they're also getting Luke Kennard, who I think the contract is, you might look at Kennard's contract for about $14 million a year. You might be like, it's a little high. Well, the thing is, the NBA is changing. Everything's getting more expensive. Players' contracts are going to be going up here. So I think when Kennard's contract is up in 2+ seasons, you're going to be looking at that $14 million-ish contract range and be like, that's not bad one bit. So Zubats, I think, man, recently he was, what do you have, 3 straight double-doubles this past week. Zubats is a very interesting basketball player. I think the Pacers probably aren't all that interested in him. They would definitely want to look to unload Miles Turner if they were going to be receiving Zubats, in my opinion. But, he might be a good short-term kind of guy while you work a player like Isaiah Jackson, who he's in his rookie year out of Kentucky. He has a ton of potential, but he's still a very raw basketball player. So, Zubats isn't a guy you're going to play 30 minutes every single night. So might be nice to ease Isaiah Jackson into kind of like the NBA with Zubats. So looking at this from the Clippers standpoint, I think the biggest thing about this is you got to kind of think next season. So, Paul George, yeah, he might come back. Kawhi Leonard, he might come back too. Neither of those two basketball players, or not both of them, are going to come back if the Clippers keep playing how the Clippers are playing. They have a lot of talent, but they're so short-handed right now that they need to just keep grinding till the trade deadline and hope that the Clippers make a big time move. I've made a couple of videos talking about like John Wall going to the Clippers. I really like that. He's just a very expensive player. My biggest issue with the Clippers is passing the basketball. I absolutely love Reggie Jackson. I love Eric Bledsoe. Those are two grit and grindy players. Reggie Jackson more of an emphasis on offense, Eric Bledsoe more of an emphasis on defense. One thing both of those two players don't really possess is passing abilities. Yes, they can pass the basketball, but I'm talking DOMANTAS Sabonis where you're getting probably at least 5 assists per game and you're playing the center position. So the Clippers, they have a good supporting cast where if you make this trade right now and you don't have Paul George or Kawhi Leonard, your whole offense is going to be revolved around DOMANTAS Sabonis. And with his offensive ability, along with his passing ability, the ability to find open players, open cutters, know the right move, know the right read. How is the defense playing you? How is the defense playing your team? I think Sabonis, a great underrated basketball mind like him, would do wonders, absolute wonders for the Clippers team. I think the Clippers are a talented enough roster where if you bring Sabonis and Justin Holiday, who provides really solid 3-and-D play, if you bring both of those two players to LA, they will be able, with the good supporting cast the Clippers have, they should be able to hold the ship for when Paul George comes back, and then hopefully when Kawhi Leonard comes back, when they'll be kind of catching their groove and they'll be looking for a deep playoff push. But mainly this is about next season here. The Clippers, you don't want these guys to start getting uneasy, saying, do we even have the proper talent? The Clippers have the talent, man, as they've demonstrated in the playoffs, but they just can't keep getting injured. That's the biggest thing. DOMANTAS Sabonis, a relatively consistent basketball player, does not miss much time. So I think this trade would do wonders for both teams. The Pacers, you're taking a little bit more of a gamble. I just don't know what DOMANTAS Sabonis is. Such a fun name to say. I just don't know what DOMANTAS Sabonis' trade value is looking like. So you think a first-round draft pick and then, Keon Johnson, Brandon Boston Jr., you got to think adding all those guys up has to be one of the better packages that the Pacers are going to be getting offered. What I imagine the Pacers is getting offered right now for DOMANTAS Sabonis is probably one first-round draft pick, a guy on a tough contract, probably not expiring, and then a relatively young, promising player. And the Pacers are probably looking at that and they're not getting too excited. So you're getting literally 4 freaking basketball players and a 2028 first-round draft pick. I think that's something that would be of interest to the Pacers, especially if they're starting to get a little desperate. So that's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, hit that sub button. As always, drop some comments down below if you would accept this trade or not, and I'll see you guys after the games tonight.